Generation 3 hosts some of the strongest Mega Pokemon in existence, and with VGC moving to Pokemon Champions in the new year, I thought it would be the perfect time to rank these Mega Pokemon, as it'll be the first time they've been legal since Ultra Sun and Moon in VGC. If you guys missed my last video where I ranked all the Generation 1 Megas and discussed how I think they will perform when they return to VGC, I would recommend going and watching that first. But before we jump into ranking the Gen 3 Megas, I do quickly just want to go over the tiers so you guys get a better understanding of how I rank them. So, of course, we have the meta-defining tier. These are going to be the megas that I think, as long as they are in the game, they are going to be absolute top-tier threats. They are going to be very meta, warping. Very good megas of Pokemon that are just always going to be, pretty reliable, especially in some of the lower power formats. They'll be very, very good. And as, the formats get a bit higher power, they are still, definitely solid Pokemon. The playable tier is Pokemon that, they definitely still have a niche. They can still be played and, see some success. But they, are probably going to be a lot more dependent on the format, and we'll kind of discuss that more as we do go through each individual Pokemon. But the needs help tier, this is the tier of, megas that, in my opinion, are just not very good in VGC. I'll kind of discuss, I guess, if they are maybe better in singles rather than VG, but, we'll leave that for each of the individual megas. So, kicking us off here, we start off with Mega Gardevoir. Now, Mega Gardevoir is a pretty solid Pokemon, right? It's a Pokemon that historically had some pretty good success in VGC. Of course, when you look at the base stats here, 100 base speed is definitely very solid. 165 special attack is absolutely absurd, especially on a fairy type. Its bulk on the physical side of things is definitely a little underwhelming, but of course, you pair that with Intimidate, and it's not too bad, but its special bulk is very solid, especially if you can, afford to invest a lot in this Pokemon's HP stat. Now, one of the big things for Gardevoir here is its pixelate ability, basically just meaning of the fairy type Pokemon, it has the best spread damage. Of course, a lot of, fairy types, for example, like Fluttermane in the recent metas had been running things like Dazzling Gleam if they want to hit, big spread attacks. Of course, though, we do have Hyper Voice as a option on Gardevoir here, basically getting that pixelate boost, that 1.2 times boost, and then on top of that, just a much more powerful attack in general is very, very good and does still make it one of the best fairy type sweepers in the game. Sorry, not necessarily sweeper, sorry, but just one of the best damage dealing fairies in the game, right? Now, my biggest question with Gardevoir going forward is going to be, I guess, what is its competition in terms of a fairy slot, right? So, if you look at, again, recent years, Fluttermane has been, without a doubt, the best fairy type in the last, 3 generations. The last 3 years. And of course, in a restricted metagame, Xerneas is probably going to be number 1, if not number 2, only to Fluttermane. I would say in a metagame where Fluttermane exists, Gardevoir probably isn't as good, but I could honestly see any metagame where Fluttermane doesn't exist, this Pokemon is going to be the premier fairy type in the format. It's very quick, it hits incredibly hard, its special defense is ridiculous, and if you need a fairy type, I think Mega Gardevoir is just one of the best options in the game, period. And I definitely expect to see it in the early formats of Pokemon Champions be incredibly powerful. So, Mega Sableye is a very, very interesting Pokemon because back in the day, if you played any singles like I did way back when, this Pokemon was considered very, very good on stall teams in particular. Its bulk is crazy. Of course, it has Magic Bounce. HP stat is, pretty lackluster, but 2 very, very high defensive stats. Of course, Dark Ghost, one of the best typings in the game. Only weakness is the fairy type, of course. It's got very, very low speed. It doesn't really need much more than that. And of course, Magic Bounce, again, in those, single stall metas was incredibly good. In my opinion, VGC-wise, this Pokemon probably just isn't all that. I think you're better off probably just, rocking regular Sableye. Now, of course, you always have that option of, playing Sableye more as a prankster support, and then maybe you've got that option to click Mega if needed, because Sableye's items are very, it's interesting, right? A lot of Sableyes, you'll see them with things like Eject Pack, you'll see them with Eject Button, you'll see them with things like potentially Light Clay if they want to run screens, sometimes Focus Sash if the metagame is really threatening with big fairy type attackers. But its stats are just pretty subpar. Of course, you see here 75 and 65 in both of its defenses. It does get a massive buff there. But in terms of just using this as a bulky magic bouncer in VGC, it just isn't all that. Yes, you get access to things like Fake Out. It gets, a stab knockoff, which isn't too bad. You're probably not running screens on a mega set. You have plot, but you're not clicking plot. Recover obviously is really good. And again, in singles metas, we saw it be fantastic. Taunt is really solid, and 20 base speed's incredibly low, right? This is as slow as something like Torkoal. The big difference is Torkoal sets the sun and it has access to Eruption. So Sableye, in my opinion, look, I'm just going to say it needs help simply because I think regular Sableye is just superior, right? Yes, this thing's really bulky. Yes, it's really slow. it doesn't hit hard. I don't think it has the utility it needs to be successful. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Like, I'm sure someone's probably going to be able to, make this bond like actually succeed. But in my opinion, Mega Sableye, like it needs like a tweak. And like I don't think it's as simple as you just give it Prankster, because I do think Mega Sableye with Prankster all of a sudden becomes like absolutely absurd. But I do think that the way that this Mega wants to play is much better in singles than it is in doubles. So, Mega Aggron, to my knowledge, this has actually always been considered one of the worst Megas in the game, surprisingly. You have a look at its stats here. Of course, 70 HP is pretty lackluster. 140 attack, very solid. 230 defense, I believe, makes this the bulkiest Pokemon in the game. Yeah, tied with Shuckle, which is kind of crazy on the Fizz Def side, and Mega Steelix as well. So Fizz Def is absolutely absurd. Special defense is okay, and the speed stats kind of whatever. Filter, obviously a fantastic ability, reducing the damage coming out of super effective attacks, which is really nice. I believe it down to like 1 to 3/4 of the super effective damage, so very, very strong. But historically has never been very good. Pure Steel type, while it's not too bad, this Pokemon doesn't really do much in terms of like status moves or like supportive moves. Like it doesn't really do anything like too crazy. Of course, Iron Defense is there, which is always cool, but you kind of look down this list here and there's nothing it really does on the supportive side of things, and because of that, it kind of needs to be a bit more offensive. But the big thing recently for this Pokemon was the addition of Body Press. I believe when we had Mega Aggron, this Pokemon did not have access to Body Press. Now it does. So all of a sudden, you can build this Pokemon, if you have a look at this like at a VGC, sense of things, it just straight up has 250 defense. Like, you don't have to invest in this. You could play something like, like this is just obviously a spread off the top of my head here. You could play something like this where you max out the HP, max out the special defense, like just try to make it as bulky on that side as you can. And then you just say, hey, I'm 250 Fizz Def. If I click Iron Defense, that goes up to 500. And then I just start firing off massive body presses. Like, to me, that seems pretty damn good. Obviously, it's going to be really meta dependent. But I do think Mega Aggron is actually playable now. Again, how good, I don't know. Maybe it needs a little more. But a pure Steel type with that much physical defense and access to Iron Defense and Body Press, I just don't see how it's a bad Pokemon. It's definitely not going to be like meta defining, but I'm sure there's going to be some metas where it just finds its place, onto some teams. You're able to set up that Body Press, so that Iron Defense, and then just start running through with big body presses. So, Mega Medicham. I believe early on, Mega Medicham was actually kind of good, but it kind of fell off as formats developed. Basically, I would say like one of my biggest issues with Medicham is this speed stat. In general, its stats are actually like pretty good. Like 60 HP is pretty subpar. 85 defense and special defense are like okay. Like its bulk's like nothing crazy. Of course, the base 100 attack is like it's pretty average, but when you have pure power, obviously it becomes like absurd, right? Like you look at this, right? That all of a sudden would be 304. If you go adamant here, what's that going to be? Like 334, I think that is, which is like kind of crazy. 100 like base speed is like definitely like still really solid. I just kind of worry about where this Pokemon, I guess, is going to be in terms of like, again, if it's a format where like Fluttermane exists, it's like just not a good Pokemon. Like I know I've been saying that a lot, but the power creep in the last 2 generations has honestly been kind of crazy. I think in a lower power format, like where 100 base speed is still good, this Pokemon, like, it probably can thrive, because even, like, some, like, Jolly set like this with, like, the right supporting pieces is, like, probably still good. You probably didn't get Psychic Fang, did you? Yeah, so, like, it didn't get Psychic Fang, which is, like, kind of bad, because I think Psychic Fang is, like, in my opinion, at least, probably the best physical attacking Psychic type attack. Obviously, it gets access to high jump kick, but you're probably just going to run close combat. Axe Kick is interesting, 30% chance to confuse. Yeah, so this is basically just juiced up high jump kick with like a little less power. Like you got P-Jab. Yeah, like, so you're probably like still running like Zen Headbutt. It kind of feels bad because like, I feel like, I mean, maybe you're even just running Psycho Cutter. Because I feel like obviously like a pure power CC is kind of crazy. Like access to upper hand actually isn't too bad as well. I wonder if like upper hand off this thing, if you got like adamant, do you just like one-shot Insyn? Like, probably not, because you're still getting the minus attack. Wait, what's base Medicham here? Yeah, I mean, you're always just running pure power anyway. I was, like, thinking maybe if it has, like, inner focus into, like, pure power, it's, like, okay. Like, obviously, it still does, like, have some good support, right? It has access to Fake Out, right? Do you get coaching by any chance? I mean, look, I think if this Pokemon gets, like, Psychic Fangs, it has Fake Out. You can go, like, Fake Out, Psychic Fang, CC, Protect. Like, if the metagame, like, allows for it, it's probably pretty decent. I'm just gonna say it's playable. I don't think it's very good. I don't think it needs help. Like it's base 100 speed. It has pure power. Like the Pokemon's good, man. Mega Banette. Historically, this Pokemon is a regional champion. I believe Wolf Glick won with Banette way back in the day. I think my biggest issue with Banette as a Mega is anti-synergy. You have 165 attack and you have Prankster. Your also second best stat is your special attack stat, which is like very, very bad, especially from one like Banette. And I think this Pokemon, it's honestly just in a bit of a weird position, right? It's 75 speed, so it's not very quick. But in saying that, it's also not really slow enough to be a Trick Room Sweeper. Like, if it was a Trick Room Sweeper, I think it gets, like, really, really good all of a sudden. Its bulk is, like, also, like, really bad for a Pokemon that's this slow. It's like, I'm gonna just, like, I'll definitely go through more. I think this Pokemon needs help. I think Banette could have really benefited a lot from the Dark typing as well. And then I think as well, like, while it does have some, like, good support moves, like, I know it obviously gets access to Will-O-Wisp. You can go down the list here, right? It gets Encore Disable, which is really good with Prankster. You get Plot, but you're probably not plotting with this. You do get SD, actually. So that's pretty solid. Obviously, T-Wave. You've got Prankster Taunt as well. Will-O-Wisp. You've got Trick Room. Ally Switch. Like, this mod actually does have a lot of good things going for it. It also gets Trick Room in Prison as well, which is kind of nice. Priority Screech as well is actually kind of good too. If you land that and then you just like nuke it with like a Joy Scarf mon, that's like pretty decent. But like, yeah, I can see a world where like Mega Banette isn't a bad mon, but like at the same time, I think its stat spread is like really bad. Its abilities like really counterintuitive to what this mon wants to do. Like it wants like, you know, you think about it, right? Like it wants to run Poltergeist, which I know it did get, which is a big buff for it. It wants to run Shadow Sneak, which again, coming off that attack stat's really, really good. But then it's like, okay, what's next, right? Essentially, you need something that hits like normal types, basically, right? Normal types, dark types. So like basically, you want fighting coverage. You get like Drain Punch. No, you get any fighting coverage. Yeah. So like, I think it's like, honestly, Ghost fighting Mega Banette would be kind of crazy. It actually would just be Baby Marshadow. But obviously, yeah, it needs some form of fighting coverage. I do think a second stab, you know, as I mentioned, I think Dark or something like that could be like really good as well. But yeah, this one, I think it needs help. Like, it's so close to greatness. Even, like, just any other ability as well. Like, I think Prankster, like, you know, it makes sense. But then it's like, you know, you kind of want to use it as a support. But then do you really want your Mega to be a support? I don't know. I think in, like, Generation 6 and 7, a supportive Mega, like, wasn't great. But then, like, in saying that as well, again, like, I hate to keep harping on it. But you look at the power creep in Generations 8 and 9, and it's like, well, you know, is your Mega Slot really going to be better than an Urshifu? Is your Mega Slot really going to be better than, like, a Fluttermane? And it's like, you know, of course, again, it goes even deeper, right? It's like, oh, you know, if you Mega Zard Y with Fluttermane, that's crazy. But maybe, like, a supportive Mega can be good. And because of that, maybe things like sableye are going to be, like, better. But, yeah, I think Banette just needs some help right now. Mega Manectric. This Pokemon is, I mean, I like its Mega. It's, like, not bad. It has Intimidate, which is, like, a really good ability. Its speed and, special attack stats are really good. Obviously the exact same as Fluttermane's, which is, you know, never a bad thing. 135 speed, 135 special attack. It's like not too bad. Its bulk is like pretty subpar, but like it's not too crazy because obviously it's a really, really fast attacker. I'm guessing you get like Thunderbolt, right? You get Discharge, I'm guessing too. Yep. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's like any other big electric move you want. Of course, you get Overheat as well, which is like really nice because you can overheat into the grass types. You don't have like a great way to hit steel types, I don't think. Let me just have a look here. Do you have anything like really good for steel types? You get Flamethrower as well, Hyper Voice. I mean, Rising Voltage actually kind of crazy as well. Dude, maybe is there like a world where like Mega Manectric Rising Voltage plus like Tapu Koko is good? Like maybe. Yeah, obviously I have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, this mon really can't hit ground types that well, which I think is it's the worst thing going for it. But again, it has Intimidate. What's base Manectric? Is it like Volt Absorb or something? It's Lightning Rod, yes. Yeah, like base Manectric has like Lightning Rods. Like maybe there's like some cool play you can do where you like discharge it and then you like Mega. But I'm gonna say it's this one is probably the mon I will very likely move later. I'm gonna say it's playable. Like, again, its stats are good, right? It's very quick. It hits very hard. It has, you know, decent coverage. It has Intimidate as well as an ability. Like, that's never a bad thing, a Mega with Intimidate. So I'm just going to say it's playable. Mega Glalie. So, Mega Glalie, not very good, in my opinion. Refrigerate, obviously, is, like, a decent ability. I believe it gets, like, Explosion as well. Yeah, so, like, You get an ice type explosion, which is kind of cool. But like this mon, its stats are just like, it's one of those mons where I look at the stats and I see 120, 120 in both its offensive stats, and it's like, dude, why? Like, just like take 40 out of its special attack, or like 40 out of its attack, and then go 20, 20 into the other one and the speed. Like 80, 80, 80 bulk is like pretty average. Refrigerate's a really cool ability. Do you get like hyper voice or something like that? You don't get hyper voice. Like, what normal moves do you actually get? I feel like this mon just booms, right? Oh, body slam's actually not too bad. Like, yeah, because realistically, what, like double edge is like pretty solid, and then it's like body slam. So yeah, if you're not like, it's either double edge, body slam, or boom. It's like they're like your only options. Yeah, this one just needs help. Its stats are bad. Its ability is kind of cool. Its typing is also bad. Like maybe this thing needs to be like ice dark or something. Yeah, I'm not seeing it with Mega Glalie, man. Mega Metagross. I am not gonna lie to you guys. I think Mega Metagross is actually really, really bad. No, that's a joke. This mod is meta defining. This Pokemon is absolutely insane. Look at this stat spread, man. Look at this stat spread. 145 attack, 150 defense, 105 special, 110 speed, 110 speed def. Dude, insane. On a steel type. It also gets tough claws as well. I believe it also just got access to psychic fangs as well, so it now even gets a better psychic type attack. And I believe this is boosted by tough claws because it makes contact. It also breaks screens. What was this thing's best steel type attack? Is it? It's not just Medium Mash, is it? I feel like it has something more reliable than Medium Mash. Is it just Medium Mash? Didn't this thing get? Oh, Heavy Slam. It just got Heavy Slam too. Yeah. So obviously, like, it depends on the metagame. Maybe Heavy Slam like ends up like still going on the backseat to Medium Mash, but I don't know, dude. Also Hard Press as well. Dude, this one's gonna be good, man. I'm excited to play this. Also gets a Bullet Punch as well. Dude, Mega Metagross, gonna be sick. Base Metagross as well, obviously worth mentioning. It has that clear body ability, so you ain't getting intimidated. Then you know you've always got Protect as well, so like you can like you can Protect, and they bring in their Instant, and then you Mega, like you can keep this guy safe for like 2 turns easily from Intimidate, which is kind of crazy. Stats absurd. It's a Steel type, absurd. Mega Metagross, it's meta defining. It's historically one of the best Pokemon. Tough Claws also buffing up all its attacks as well, like buffing Bullet Punch, buffing Psychic Fang, buffing Heavy Slam. I mean, this mon, it can't not be good. If it's in the game, it's fantastic. Fluttermanes, watch out. If Meta Megagross is in a Fluttermane format, Fluttermane has to run Sash. It has to run Sash at every single game. No ifs, ands, or buts. Unless it has Terra. The only option is if it has Terra. And even then, I don't know what you're going to want. Terra Fire or Fluttermane? That doesn't feel great, man. So, Mega Latias. Mega Latias is... I'm almost certain this one's Latias. Let's just assume it's Latias here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Latias. Mega Latias, right? So, I do think this is the worst of the 2 Latias. Of course, you look at the stat spread here. This is still a very, very good Pokemon. Bulk is crazy, especially on the special side of things. 110 speed is also very, very good. 140 special attack is very, very good. You won't Luster Purge. What's your stab? It's the other one. What is it? Not Luster Purge. Is it just Dream? No, it's not Dream Needle. It's like Mist Ball or something, right? Yeah, Mist Ball. This one here. Very, very good. The Latias did just get buffed special moves. Mist Ball having a 50% chance to lower the target special attack by 1 stage is kind of crazy. Like this is really, really, really good. Like I actually can't stress enough how good it is. It also has like really, really good just like special coverage moves. Like if you just have a look there again, like its special coverage is insane, right? Like it's obviously got Draco as its secondary stab. You got things like Thunder, Ice Beam, Surf, T-Bolt, Dragon Balls, Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere really good on this one as well because it struggles to hit the steel types. Do you have a better fire move? You don't, but there was mystical fire down here too. I think it also gets access to Calm Mind as well. Like, yeah, it does get access to Calm Mind. Yeah, I don't see a world where Mega Latias isn't a very good Pokemon. I think it's going to be one of the premier Dragon type Megas. It's just really, really solid. So, Mega Latias now, or Latios, I should say. Latios. Very, very good. I mean, you look at this thing, 110 speed's kind of cracked. 160 special attack is very, very broken. The one thing going against it here is this attack stat. I think if you flipped the attack and the speed stat, this Pokemon gets a lot stronger. But Luster Purge is also kind of broken. 50% chance to lower their special defense by 1 attack. If you can just start spamming out Luster Purges, I think it's very, very good. I do believe it's probably the best of the 2 Latias. You get Nasty Plot? No, you don't. So it's just Calm Mind, right? So you're probably still just running like Calm Mind, Luster Purge. And then what? Do you even like run Draco? You probably need a way to hit Steel types depending on your team, but yeah, look, I think it's going to be slightly better than Latias, but they're both just very, very good Pokemon. I do think there's like a world where you can argue that latias probably drops down because latios is better, but the bulk on the latias is probably like where it like gets a bit different. Of course, these two Pokemon historically some of the best answers into Urshifu Rapid Strike, obviously resisting Surging Strikes, resisting close combats, which is very, very good. Of course, they are weak to Flutter Mane, which is like one big issue. But again, I feel like I've said Flutter Mane a lot. It's just the mon's obviously really good. But I do expect that we're probably not going to see Flutter Mane for at least like a year or so in VGC. So at least early on, if they are legal off the rip, which they might not be, I will say these are some of the megas where like I'm not sitting here like, oh, they're definitely going to be in day one, simply because I have a funny feeling we're not going to see any of like the legends. Like, you know, currently we're playing, you know, VGC on Regulation H, and you know, you don't have any of the legends. None of the birds are in the game, none of the beasts, none of that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Latias are the ones that are kind of missing out early in the metagame, but sorry, like early into champions. But I definitely think once they eventually do come in, they are going to be very powerful. So Mega Sceptile, my goat. One of my absolute favorite Pokemon in the game is Sceptile. I love this monster bits. I love its mega design as well. I think Mega Sceptile is, or Mega Sceptile, sorry, however you want to pronounce it, is awesome. It's very, very quick, hits very, very hard. Its bulk is, you know, subpar, but that is what it is. I absolutely love this one to bits, and I think Lightning Rod makes it very, very interesting when paired with Miraidon. That is the one thing I will say. I think something like Leaf Storm, Dragon Pulse, Dragon Cheer, and then Protect. Like, in a Miraidon metagame, I think this is a very, very good, like, supportive mega where, you know, you can Dragon Cheer them and then allow your Miraidon just, like, guaranteed crit. You can, you know, sit next to a Discharge, like, go for things like Choice Scarf Discharge, get yourself that +1. This is meant to be Leaf Storm, not Leaf Blade. So with the Leaf Storm, you have access to, you know, nuke things like Groudon and basically any ground type in the game. You'll outspeed any ground type. You're very, very quick. I believe the only restricted off the top of my head that would outspeed you would be that Calyrex Shadow Rider. We can probably have a look here. I mean, yeah, CSR outspeed you, Zacian outspeed you as well, and that's it. So Mega Sceptile definitely has a niche there. I borderline want to say it needs help though. As I said, it is my favorite mega in the game, or like one of my favorite megas. I think it has a niche. I'm probably gonna. It's so hard, yeah, because like I do actually feel like it's like better than Aggron. Like, it probably, like, sits around here, like, in the playable tier. But personally, as I said, it's one of my favorites. And I do think this Pokemon needs a lot of things changed about it, in my honest opinion. I would be a huge fan of seeing Mega Sceptile actually get sharpness and flipping its offensive stats. And then all of a sudden you run things like, you know, like Leaf Blade, and, what's it? I think Dual Chop as well is, like, buffed by sharpness. So, like, a set like this, I think could be, like, really, really sick if you give it sharpness. And then I also think Sceptile actually also gets Earthquake as well to hit the Steel type, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it does. So, like, a set like this with sharpness, I think could actually be, like, really, really sick if they gave it, like, 145 attack, 145 speed. But in saying that, that's, like, purely speculation. That's also, like, a video for another time. At some point, I will discuss changes I want, you know, to some of the worst megas, and I'll probably, like, put Mega Sceptile in that and kind of go into it a bit more in depth there. But look, for right now, I think it's playable. It definitely has its niche in the metagame. I don't know how it goes outside of restricted. Like, it's probably still going to be okay, but it's definitely not on the level of some of these other Pokemon, especially in terms of consistency. So, Mega Blaziken, one of the fan favorites in this game. Of course, another very, very, very powerful Mega Evolution. It still has access to its ability Speed Boost. It has an absurd 160 attack, has 100 speed, which is very, very solid when you have something like built-in Speed Boost. Of course, because of that, you want to run things like Protect. But I do think Mega Blaziken is going to be, yeah, put it up here, very, very good. For a lot of reasons. Like, one, it got access to coaching, which is something, you know, we've seen people run recently. It also now has access to close combat, and it gets access to flavors. So basically, this Pokemon can be this, like, really, really cool, like the beautiful thing about, like, a set like this is you don't even have to be the Mega version for this to be good. Like, you can, like, run this with, like, another Mega, like, say, for example, like, Salamence, who we'll touch on later. And then you just, like, Protect, get your Speed Boost in base form, and then you just start coaching something else. Like, you don't even have to Mega this one, and it's, like, still fine. But then you do Mega it. It has an absurd attack stat. It has an insane Stab Duo and Flare Blitz and CC. Has access to things like coaching. It also, of course, gets access to things like Swords Dance. All in all, this Pokemon is just, like, really, really good. You can also, like, you know, I think you can, like, best of one cheese people as well with things like Overheat plus, I think it would just be Auras here, right? Like, I mean, you could run Focus Blast if you wanted, but, like, you're probably better off going something else. But with like 130 special attack, this Pokemon could definitely function as a special attacker as well, and just like, you know, like, oh, you bring in your Incineroar to like intimidate it, and then you just like eat an Aura Sphere, and it's like, oh damn, well that's not as good. Is that what I thought was gonna happen? But yeah, I think Mega Blaziken's a very, very good Pokemon. Its power level is just simply too high to put it any lower than this, and it can be both used as like the main sweeper of the team, or like even like, as I said, a secondary, you know, Mega on the team where you know, maybe you just start coaching up like a Mega Metagross, for example. Right, you double protect turn 1, you Mega the Metagross, you're coaching it, and then yeah, you kind of just run away from there. So Mega Pert, one of my absolute favorite Megas as well. This mon is like really, really sick. It also got some like new cool tech as well in the recent generations, which we will touch on shortly. And that, sorry, is Flip Turn. Flip Turn, really, really good, especially when you're playing a lot of these rain teams, right? Mega Swampert, it has the access to Swift Swim. So having like Flip Turn as like that third move is really, really good. I believe... Wait, do you get Liquidation? Yeah, okay, you get Liquidation. So you probably run something along the lines of like either Liquidation or Waterfall. If you want that little bit of damage, obviously you go Liquidation. If you want that chance to flinch, obviously, yeah, you look at something like Waterfall. Of course, you also have access to a very, very powerful Earthquake. So this Pokemon is just a naturally very, very good Pokemon with something like Pelipper. Something as well, did I mention it earlier? I don't know if it like ever came up. It probably didn't come up earlier. I probably should have brought it up. Actually, you know what? I'll probably throw it in the intro, but Mega Evolutions, guys, now have access to dynamic speed. So you go Mega, you get Swift Swim. You're just really quick all of a sudden. It's really, really good. This Pokemon stats are like absurd. Obviously, everyone's always known Swampert had absurd stats. Defensively, 100, 110, 110 is crazy. Of course, with your typing, you only have one weakness. 150 attack for a Weather Sweeper is kind of like busted. The only thing like going against it is this speed stat. But again, you look at this, right? In any metagame like that exists, like this is like all the speed you would need in like a Calyrex metagame. Like if it's like a metagame where like Dragapult's your biggest threat, you drop it down to like this. If Dragapult's not in the game, like what do you like if you're not worried about Dragapult, like a Dragapult metagame, like what do you actually like worry about at that point? Like of course like Fluttermane's annoying, but like they're gonna have like Sun, so it's a bit different. Like yeah, it's probably just Mega Gengar, right? Like 130 base speed Mega Gengar is probably like the biggest threat you'd have to like worry about. Like let's just double check this real quick. Like what's Mega Gengar here? 200. So yeah, like all you would need to outspeed something like Mega Gengar consistently would just be like this. And then, like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wow, you've got all this bulk. You hit insanely hard with, like, an adamant nature. And you still just outspeed absolutely everything that you would be worried about. Yeah, I think Mega Swampert, it's going to be very good. I think, obviously, it needs a lot of help. Like, it's so difficult, right? Because, again, I just... The way I look at early champions is going to be... I think Charizard's Sun is going to be very good. You know, we kind of discussed that yesterday. I think Weather is going to be really, really powerful. And Mega Swampert is probably going to be the premier, like, rain sweeper. But because it doesn't set the rain itself, I'm just going to put it in very good. I could see a world where Mega Swampert is like a top 5 Mega at launch of champions. And yeah, I think this one's just super powerful. So, Mega Mawile. Of course, it's a fairy type. It's a steel type. One of the best, typings in the game, really. Mawile, there we go. Mega Mawile. Yeah, fairy steel, absolutely broken. Stats are like kind of subpar. Like, this is a Pokemon that kind of wants to obviously run max HP with how low its HP stat is. Speed stat actually kind of good for a Trick Room Sweeper. 125, 95 bulk is very, very good. But the big thing here is this 105 attack. And you have a look at this. Let's drop this down to level 50 just because that's where we play VGC. But you look at this beautiful 172 attack. Now, for those, again, similar to Mega Medicham who don't kind of understand, Mawile has access to huge power. So this actually becomes 344 physical attack, which is kind of absurd. It's kind of broken, especially when you think about the fact that it's a steel fairy type, one of the absolute best typings in the game. Gets access to, of course, Play Rough. What steel type do you actually... I'm actually not sure what, like, its steel choice is. You're not running Metal Burst. Probably don't get Meteor Mash, right? Yeah, you don't get Meteor Mash. It's just Iron Head, but I guess, like, Iron Head coming off 340 special physical attack is kind of crazy. You also as well get access to things like Sucker Punch. You also get access to, like, Swords Dance, like... Yeah, Mega Mawile, dude, like, it's good. It's very good. I think with its typing, it's crazy. It's probably the best, at least of the Generation 3 Megas, it's the best Trick Room Sweeper. Has a pretty decent matchup into metagross, really good physical defense, can take one, threaten it with Sucker Punches. Obviously threatens Mega Gardevoir as well. So, yeah, I think Mega, its typing's too good, its ability's too good, its move pool's really solid. It's just, yeah, Mega Mawile's a very good Pokemon. Sharpedo, aka Sharpedo. One of the big things against Mega Sharpedo, in my opinion, is the typing of it. And also the fact that it is one of the few megas that kind of doesn't want to mega the first turn it's out. So basically what I mean by that, let's break it down real quick. So in terms of typing, it's a water dark type. The biggest issue it has with that is this guy right here, Mega Gyarados, also being a water dark type that is statistically, or its stats are just they're a lot nicer overall. It's way bulkier. It hits a lot harder naturally. And while it is slower, of course, you know, that's speed isn't the name of the game. It does have access to things like Dragon Dance, of course. And then in terms of the base Sharpedo, as to like what I mentioned before, its ability is Strong Draw, which is very good for like, you know, moves like Crunch. But you do have access to Speed Boost in your base form. So basically, a lot of the time, what Sharpedos are going to want to do is they're going to want to go for like Protect, get a Speed Boost, and then Mega into the Mega form. Of course, 105 speed actually is nothing to scoff at. If you're playing against a slower paced team, you know, some games you may not necessarily need it. But yeah, obviously, you know, if you are playing against a bit more of a hyper offensive team, this Pokemon does take a little bit of time to set up. But in saying that, of course, you know, Strong Draw Crunches are kind of absurd. I don't think it has a water move that's buffed by Strong Draw. I could be wrong, but I don't think Waterfall is. I mean, it also actually gets access to Flip Turn as well, Liquidation, like, yeah, like this mod, like, I don't think it's bad by any means, right? You probably, like, you've got Jet, you got Flip Turn, you got Liquidation. Like, it's really hard. You probably have to, like, decide between two of those three. Like, you're probably just going to run, like, probably, I would say Jet and Liquidation would probably be the combo. Unless, like, Waterfall's, like, buffed by Strong Draw and I just don't realize it. Do you get access to, like, SD? I don't think you do, right? Yeah, no SD. Yeah, look, I'm just going to say this mod needs help. I think its biggest issue is it takes way too long to come online and it doesn't have, like, a really good water stab that it can kind of abuse. And, like, yes, 140 attack is good. But again, like, you look at something like Swampert, which is, like, 150. And it's, like, Swampert's, like, always going to be in range. Sharpedo, like, isn't always going to be in range. So, do I want this in the needs help tier? Like, I think it's, I don't know. Yeah, look, I'm just gonna say it needs help. So, Mega Camerupt. This is actually a really, really interesting Pokemon. I actually really like Mega Camerupt. I'm not, like, the biggest fan of base form Camerupt. I do think this Pokemon has, like, one of the best shinies in the game, though. It's, like, super, super sick. In terms of speed, 20 base speed, I lied. Remember when I said Mawile was, like, the best Trick Room Sweeper? Yeah, no, I lied. It's Mega Camerupt. 145 special attack, kind of absurd. Of course, it has that speed, you know, being incredibly low. You go for something like Quiet Nature. And all of a sudden, this Pokemon is, without a doubt, one of the best Trick Room Sweepers in the game. I also meant to put that there. This was meant to be level 50. My apologies. But yeah, it has an ability as well in Sheer Force, which is kind of crazy because you consider this, right? It has access to Earth Power. 10% chance to lower the opponent's special attack. Special defense. That gets buffed by Sheer Force. It also has access to Heat Wave, another move that also gets buffed by Sheer Force because it has that 10% chance to burn. It also gets access to Eruption. Oh, sorry, I did that the wrong way. Eruption, 150 base power. Absurd. Mega Camerupt under Trick Room is actually very, very good. Its set is pretty simple, but I do think this Pokemon, like, has, like, a really, really good niche. It's so hard, though, because, like, obviously it does require you to get Trick Room up. It kind of plays, like, very similar to how Torkoal kind of does at the minute. The only issue is it struggles a lot more into Pelipper than Torkoal does. I'm gonna, like, probably put it at the top of the playable tier, simply because I think it's, like, it has a lot of competition for a Trick Room Sweeper. I think it's still a very, very powerful Pokemon. And depending on the format, I think Mega Camerupt is actually, like, really, really good. Like, there's probably going to be, like, some team that runs Camerupt and Torkoal together, and you just do, like, insane fire damage. And, like, anything that has Flash Fire just melts through Earth Power. So, like, I do think it's, like, good. Like, I don't know if I can put it on the same tier as, like, Mega Mawile, though. That kind of feels, like, a bit cringe to me. But, yeah, I think Mega Camerupt is solid. So, up next, we have Mega Altaria. Now, Mega Altaria is interesting because it does have one of the best types in the game in Dragon Fairy type. It has a very good ability in Pixelate. You know, we kind of mentioned that earlier with gardevoir. But its stat spread it leaves a lot to desire, right? It's very bulky. It's not very quick. Its offenses, like, aren't too bad. Like, 110, 110's, like, okay. But as a Mega, it's, like, kind of average. It does have good options between, like, Hyper Voice and Double Edge to, like, kind of buff up its you know, its Pixelate ability. It also has access to things like Dragon Dance, right? So, you know, kind of allows it to set up. It also has some, like, really, really good, like, status moves as well as support moves. You know, it gets access to things like Tailwind. It also gets access to Perish Song. So, like, there's a lot this mon can do. I just think its stats are just really, really bad. And because I'm going to say it needs help. As a matter of fact, I do think it's, like, one of the worst Megas. It's probably going to go here in the needs help tier. I think it's like probably the third worst mega on this list, if I'm being honest. So now we have Mega Absol. Now Mega Absol is like it's interesting, right? Because it's not bad. Like its stats are definitely really good. It's a decent mixed attacker. It's very fragile. Speed at 115 is pretty solid for a mega. Magic bounce is like not really a good ability in doubles in my opinion. And like it gets like a lot of like really good physical attacks, right? If you have a look at it, right, of course it gets access to things like close combat, which is like always really nice for a dark type to have to hit other dark types. Obviously it has Mega Hoenn as well, but you're probably just gonna go with CC. You kind of start looking down the list. It's got foul play. Your best dark type move is probably throat chop. Yeah, you get a stab sucker punch, one of the most powerful stab sucker punches in the game actually. You get knockoff as well, so like you're probably running like knock sucker. And then like CC just to hit the dark types. You also get access to SD as well, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you got SD. Do you like get any like really good status moves? Or like I keep calling them status moves because that's the category. Like it, you know, it gets Carmine, it gets Home Claws, I guess, Perish as well. SD, which we kind of already spoke about. You got a pretty quick Will-O-Wisp. I mean, you go for Captivate maybe. Yeah, look, I don't know. I was kind of hyping myself up to say this bond was good, but like it's not. It needs some help. It's probably like right here around Mega Altaria. Like Absol honestly is a Pokemon. Like what this one needed is Play Rough, which it actually already has. Sorry, I lied. It has Play Rough, so you probably don't need CC. But you've got Play Rough, and then you probably just need a Fairy type. Make this thing Dark Fairy, give it Play Rough, give it Knock SD. This mon all of a sudden becomes really good. I think a really good attack stat. Obviously, its stats are pretty subpar in the bulk. Like I look at like defensive stats like this, and instantly I think, okay, you need Incineroar, you need DD, like you know, you need ways to protect yourself from like things like E-Speed, from Fake Out. But yeah, I think Mega Absol is very close to being good. I think if they change it to a Dark Fairy, it becomes like really solid. But yeah, without that, I think it's just it needs a lot of help in my opinion. Mega Salamence, this Pokemon. For those who don't know, Mega Salamence very similar to Mega Metagross. Never considered to. No, I'm kidding. It's meta defining. Mega Salamence. Very good argument to make that this is the best Mega in the game. A big thing with like Pokemon like Salamence, right, is its base ability is Intimidate, which means you can leave this thing, potentially pivot it out, come back in later with another Intimidate, making it very good. And then Mega Salamence has this beautiful ability called Aerialate. Now, the reason Aerialate is like really good is because flying types don't tend to have very good, you know, stab physical flying type moves, right? If you have a look, right, do you get access to Brave Bird? You do not. What's the next best thing after Brave Bird? Like that's basically the question you got to ask yourself. Because the answer is, there really isn't anything, right? You've got Hurricane, right? So if you want to play special in rain, that's a thing. You have Fly, 2-turn charge, and then it's Air Slash. 75 base power, which is pretty underwhelming. Has a chance to miss. Obviously, can flinch. So you don't hate having Air Slash, but it's definitely not a move that you kind of want to ride home about. But then you get this Pokemon called Mega Salamence. It gets Aerialate, you know, a 1.2 times boost to its, you know, its normal type attacks. It gets access to this move called Hyper Voice, giving it, you know, a juiced up Bleakwind Storm, basically. It also has access to this little gnome move called Double Edge, which essentially on Mega Salamence is just a buffed up Brave Bird, meaning this Pokemon has some of the best, if not the best, flying type coverage in the game. Between its offensive stats, 145 attack is very solid. 120 special attack is also very good. 125 speed for a Mega is also very good. 95, 130, and 90 on the defensive side of things are incredibly good. As long as this mod is not eating things like a Blizzard or an Ice Beam, it is very difficult to remove. Of course, it also has access to things like Dragon Dance, which is very strong. Of course, you know, on the Dragon side of things as well, you got access to moves like you've got Trick of Meteor, there's Dragon Claw, there's Outrage. Salamence, again, it also just, you know, it kind of has that thing where it's a pseudo-legend, so it has a lot of just coverage moves, right? You can play this thing special, you know, in rain, right, with things like Thunder, you go with the Hyper Voice, and then you also have access to, why am I blanking on it? Hurricane as well, if you want it, right? Hyper Voice is solid, Trick of Meteor, like, it just has a lot of really good coverage moves. Like, it can kind of fill any niche you need. But in saying that as well, look, I'm just super excited to click Hyper Voice next to a Chiyu. Like, 120 special attack, like, by no means is this, like, crazy. But, like, when you have Aerialate boosted Hyper Voices, it just does so much damage. This one's going to be meta-defining. One of the absolute best Megas in the game. Because this Pokemon's going to be really good, I expect to see Gardevoir to be, like, pretty good. And because Gardevoir's pretty good, I think Mega Metagross is going to be pretty good. And then, like, also, like, because, like, again, we kind of touched on weather earlier. Like, weather's going to be good. What, like, normally beats things like rain and sun? It's dragon types because it resists both water and fire. So yeah, I think Mega Salamence is going to be arguably the best Mega on launch. It's going to have a very good matchup into Charizard Y, which is going to be another very good Mega. And yeah, I just kind of expect it to dominate the format. But in saying that, guys, this is it for the Generation 3 Megas. I guess let me know down below what you guys think. Of course, this is the second list I have made. We did I believe, the Generation 1 Megas yesterday, and I will probably be doing the rest of the Megas tomorrow. I don't really know what to title it. If you have any ideas, please let me know down below, because at this point, it's like some Generation 2 Megas. I think there's like a handful of Generation 4 Megas. There's like a Gen 6 Mega. I think there's like one Gen 5 Mega. So like the rest of the Megas are kind of all over the shop. I think there's 13 Megas left for us to rank. But yeah, then of course, once we're done ranking them, then we actually kind of get into some more of the fun stuff, I guess, right? I have plans to kind of talk about the bad Pokemon, and I guess how I think they need to be, how they need to be fixed. Obviously, we're heading into Champions, we're heading into ZA, so there's going to be a lot of Mega love over the next 6 months. I'm super excited to talk about it. I love Mega Evolutions as a concept. And yeah, I'm just overall excited to hear what you guys have to say. So yeah, let me know any comments down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.